If you thought millionaires, billionaires, and corporations avoiding taxes at the federal level was a problem, then you haven't been paying attention to what's been happening in the states. And don't feel bad about that, by the way. I haven't been paying attention to what's happening in the states. But luckily, there is a group that has been paying attention, and that is the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. This week, that group put out a report where they examined the tax rates, the tax percentages, the sales tax, the excise tax, all those taxes in every single state across the nation. And what they found will make you sick. This group, Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, found that in 41 states across the country, 41 states, all but 9 states, let's put it that way, the top 1% pays a lower tax rate than every other tax bracket, including people in the bottom 20% of income earners in their states. In 41 states, that bottom 20% pays a higher percentage in taxes than the top 1%. Florida just so happens to be the absolute worst. Florida has the most regressive tax code in the United States, with the richest 1% paying a mere 2.7% tax rate, while the poorest 20% pay 13.2% of their income. Now, Florida does not have a state income tax. So people may be watching this wondering, but Farron, how can there be a tax rate when there's no taxes? And by the way, not to mention, even though the wealthy are paying a lower tax rate, they still end up, sometimes paying more in taxes than the others. So it's okay for them to have a lower rate because they still pay more. No, it's not. Because we're talking about a percentage of their income, a percentage of their spending. And when you have people in the bottom 20% of income earners, many of whom are literally, by definition, in or below poverty level, and they're paying 13.7% in sales taxes, property taxes, all those other taxes. Like here in the state of Florida, to renew your tag for your car every year is over $100 per year. Over $100 per year. But we don't have a state income tax. Yeah, they make up for it in other areas. And that's where they get you. But across the board, the Institute for Taxation and Economic Policy has pointed out that there has been this widespread effort in both red states and blue states, by the way. It's not just Republican states doing this. It's all but 9 states doing this. But for decades, they have been lowering the taxes for the top 1% and, of course, for corporations. And they do it in an attempt to draw these companies in, to draw the millionaires and billionaires in. Oh, come to our state, big corporation. We'll give you the tax cuts. We'll give you the land use. We'll give you subsidies. We'll give you all of these great and wonderful things. Bring your below minimum wage paying jobs down here. And then, of course, it creates this endless cycle of the people working there also having to be on federal assistance, Medicaid, and food stamps. But the cycle continues itself. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer because of the design of the system itself. This isn't an accident that the wealthiest are paying the lowest tax rates in 41% of the states. This is by design. The policies to make this happen were written by human beings, passed by human beings. They knew what was going to happen. They just didn't care because they didn't think they'd ever be called out for it. Ring of Fire is just a few subscribers short of hitting that 1 million subscriber milestone. So if you're not already subscribed, please go ahead and do so and stay up to date with all of the latest from Ring of Fire.